if I look at where I was before I signed up, I just had my first track for a long time signed to Fierce Angel, and that was due for release imminently. So I was kind of in a position where I was both excited about that, but also a little bit anxious as to what was going to happen next. Because having been in the position throughout my musical career several times where I'd either had record deals and nothing had happened, nothing had been released, or had tracks released and then nothing had happened, or had tracks just about to be released and then they hadn't been released. Pretty much been through every possible scenario you can go through with a record company and with the business. Having got to the similar position again, I was kind of anxious that the same negative things weren't going to happen again. So I was concerned as to where do I go next with it all. And also the track that I had signed was probably the first serious production that I'd done for about 5 years. So I knew that I wasn't really in the groove myself like I had been sort of 10 years ago, okay. 10, 15 years ago with regards to production. So I knew that it was going to be a challenge for me to push it on to the next level. So there was that excitement and anxiety all mixing together. The track that was due to be released, I'd actually completed that in about October, and it had gone off to the label and mastered and all the rest of it. And then the label had said to me, well, you need to start working on a follow-up. So I'd started working on a couple of ideas in October. And come the end of January, when I first got to hear about Start Now, Finish Fast, I was still working on those ideas. Oh, okay. So the classic scenario, 5 months of tweaking, retweaking, mixing, remixing, trying new ideas, but not really coming up with anything that I could claim to be finished. Finished as in something which I would be happy to put out there. So I knew that there was an issue. I was going down that dreadful path of getting more and more wrapped up in looking at tutorials online and even thinking about subscribing to a tutorial course. Right. But to be honest with you, kind of knew in the back of my mind that wasn't the right way to go anyway, because having watched a lot of these tutorials online by some real big name producers and DJs, I was kind of telling myself, well, you know all that stuff anyway, so why are you trying to relearn stuff that you already know? And with the exception of a couple of people on there, who I'll mention now, Funk Agenda and Dee Ramirez, who I've worked with in the past, their stuff was awesome, but really, aside of their stuff, it was just really, frankly, if I'd done those tutorials, I'd be embarrassed to have done them because, they weren't really telling people a lot that they shouldn't already know. So, but still, I was thinking, well, perhaps there is more I should know and all the rest of it. But I kind of knew that wasn't the right way to go. And then I saw the advert for Start Now, Finish Fast, and it was just really the tagline about, I think it was, have more fun, finishing more music in less time with better results. And that absolutely summed up exactly what I wanted to do. At the end of the day, I didn't really want to learn about compressing bass lines or, the perfect arrangement or, doing drops and build-ups and all that stuff, most of which terminology I don't even understand because I'm not school, I mean, what's a drop, for God's sake? But anyway, I don't know. Then I read this and I thought, well, hold on, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I filled in the email link to get some of the free stuff and found that really, really inspiring. Some of the videos there, some of it was both amusing and inspiring, which personally I always find is best of both worlds, because if something can make you laugh, it is inspiring. So I went, read those, looked at those things, and I thought, well, look, this is clearly something that is different to the norm. And I suppose having, been doing this for the best part of 30 years, I felt that I was probably in a position where that was more applicable to my circumstances than just reading about some tutorial about doing, doing something on logic or whatever, which I probably knew if I admitted to myself I knew it. But so that's how it really started. It was just and the more I, investigated it, I thought, well, this is looking at it from a different angle. And that's something that I've not explored before. So let's give it a go.
And so what happened? Well, I mean, let's. So that was the before bit. You spent 5 months trying to finish something.
I'm true.
Yeah. So I mean, you did actually have something out. You had something. When did the first track come out? Has it come?
Well, so the first track. So after it took a year to come out, which in a way I don't regret now because. It came out with perfect timing in hindsight. So I think it actually dropped on somewhere around the middle of March.
Right. Okay.
So I'd been, I'd been a sniffer for I suppose just under a month when it dropped.
Okay, great. And so then what happened? I mean, what have you done since joining?
So basically, since I signed up, I've completed. I did a quick count up earlier, and I think I'm up to about 16 or 17 pieces of music I've completed since February. So about
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's 16 to 17. About 12 of those are remixes for other artists, and about 5 are original tracks.
Wow.
So, and out of those 17, 4 have been signed and released. Another 5 have been signed and are due to be released. And then there's 3 that I'm going to kind of release. The original tracks I'm planning to put out under my own label. Simply because that's one of the things that when I subscribed to Start Now, Finish Fast, and I did my little introduction thing on the forum, one of the things I put in the forum is what I want to achieve from it is I want to get some tracks released under my label. So having written these original tracks, rather just send them off to other labels, think, no, damn it, I'll put them out under my own label. So that's where I'm at, really. So I guess compared to where I was 12 months ago, which was pretty much nowhere, it's been an unbelievable turnaround, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is unbelievable, but I mean, it's not unbelievable because you've done it. So, so I mean, what for those people who aren't in the course and who aren't thinking about doing it, I'd really like them to get some value out of this conversation. So, if you could just give them an idea of what it was that you did, what were the things that you got out of the course, which you can tell them that caused this like massive explosion.
Okay, if I look at it from day one, the first thing I did was the Focus Foundation course. Now there were some things in there which, if anyone hasn't done that Focus Foundation course, they really need to go away and do that now, like before they go to bed, tonight, right now, because it is that important. I would go so far as to say that above anything else changed everything for me, because just to have and people talk about focus and being focused and all that stuff, but I think a lot of people talk about it without really understanding what it means and what it's all about. But to have it broken down like it was in that foundation course, demystified it completely, and it demystified it and it simplified it, and it made it. It broke it down in such a way that you could see that it was something that was not just a concept that everybody spoke about but few seldom achieve, but it's something that is actually quite easily attainable if you set your mind to it in the right way.
Well, it refers to itself. It's about focusing on on
Yeah,
focusing. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
But I think that was the thing that started everything for me. The whole direct experience thing, which I had never practiced before. I'd kind of heard about it, and I'd even kind of tried to sort of do it before, but never really done it. You know, because I thought it was going to something that was going to, you know, lead me to somewhere, you know, magical.
Yes.
But you know, that was just something which I found such a effective trick. And it's weird because, you know, I would find myself walking to work in the morning down the the subway and you know, indulging in direct experience, you know, because but you know, it sounds really weird, but it does, just that whole thing of calming you down, you know, calming you and focusing you and making sure that you get the best out of you know, what you're about to do.
Yeah, and it's taking yourself out of yourself and seeing things.
That's
almost
right. Yeah, and I mean, prior to subscribing to starting our finish fast, I'd had dreadful insomnia problems.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like going to bed and waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, unable to get back to sleep, all that kind of stuff. That kind of, I would say it disappeared overnight, but over a period of a month, it went completely. Now, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say start now, finish fast is the only reason why that happened.
Sleep now, finish fast.
Sleep now, finish fast. You know, there were a lot of other things that you know, I was doing at the time to make that happen also. But you know, the direct experience technique and also meditation, which we may speak about a bit more later, I'm sure, it's one of your favourite subjects. Those two things, I think, would probably had a massive bearing on building the foundation for what I was going to do, not only in the studio but generally. You know, and you know, I started a new job at the beginning of April, so that was shortly after I enrolled in the course, or a couple of months into the course. So you know, there were quite a lot of things, and I moved apartment in March as well, set up a new studio. So there was quite a lot of stuff going on at that time. So there were quite a lot of reasons to get stressed and unfocused and all the rest of it. So it was actually a pretty good time to have these new tools at my disposal to cope with all of that stuff, because previously, you know, it could have gone a bit Pete Tong, as they say.
Yeah. So you know, because you got a demanding job and you moved house and all that stuff, but during this time you had a massive, you know, creative explosion. So what would you say to people who say, you know, that time is their biggest challenge? They haven't got enough time. They can never find the time to make music.
Yeah.
You know, how could you help them?
Yeah, I mean, I am one of those people. I'm always complaining about that I don't get enough time to make music, and you know, that is true. I mean, I don't feel that I do get enough time, but
how much music do you want to make?
Well, the time's good.
I mean,
but, you know,
far be it for me to say you shouldn't make more music.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think 16 tracks is enough. It should be 160. But there you go. But no, I think you know, one of the things that the course has really done for me is to get that whole time thing into perspective. You know. And I think you're right in what you say. How much time do you need to make music? I mean, I've pretty much got it down to. I mean, I've made most of these tracks by coming home from work, getting in the studio, you know, about 7:30 in the evening till probably about 10:30, 11, and then going to bed. You know, and I've done that probably 4 or even 5 nights a week, and then weekends probably either Saturday or Sunday, having a good 6-hour stint in the studio, and then maybe another 2 or 3 hours, you know, as and when time allows. You know, before, you know, for example, I'll come home from work and maybe I'll be too tired or feel too tired to go in the studio. But you know, there's been times when I've really forced myself to go in, and things have gone well. There have been other times when I forced myself to go in and things haven't gone so well. Now, in that situation, I think one of the important things that I do now, where I wouldn't have done it before the course, is that if I go to the studio and I just find things aren't happening, then I'll just turn off the computer, go and watch some TV, and accept that that's not going to be the night, without then sitting there watching TV, beating myself up, thinking you're useless, you don't want it enough, you can't, all that stuff. Because there is now, having done the course, there's an understanding that sometimes your brain's tired and you just can't do that. And some of the things that are in the course about rescheduling your time, I've done that. In that if I come home from work and I feel knackered, what I'll do is I'll have half an hour kip, and I'll say to the girlfriend, "Wake me up at 8," and then go into the studio at 8:30, and I find then that I do some of my best work because I've just had a rest, I'm fully refreshed, and I can probably then do more in an hour than I might otherwise do in 3 hours. So it's all about rescheduling. So I think obviously people's situations are different and their demands and their time are different. But I think there's always going to be a time pressure, whether you do this full-time or part-time. But it's like most things, it's just about organising your time. And I think that's one of the things where, again, you can get some good techniques and some practical help from the course that you probably, even if you did know it before, you probably wouldn't apply it because it's not written down for you, or you're not saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you say it, it tends to be, oh well, Mike said it, so it must be true. I'll go and do it. So.
I think, and also there's something about doing it in a kind of systematic manner, and also doing it with other people, and also seeing, seeing how other people are using it and that it's working. When you're on your own and you just read a blog post, or you read something in the paper or something about some kind of thing, it's not quite the same as actually getting that kind of codified. Right, do this month, and then we're going to do this month, and then we're going to, and it kind of just one leads on from the other. And that thing about not beating yourself up. I mean, I don't know what it is about our Western culture where we believe that being down on ourselves when we don't do what we want to do is a way of motivating us to do it the next day or the next week or whatever. Because it just doesn't work. It's been proved time and time again not to work. So I almost, my fingers remember the 3 words, stop beating yourself up, because I think I typed those 3 words more than any other 3 words on the forums and Skype and everything, because it's like, it just seems to be a natural reaction. I'm actually at the point now where I am actually able to not to beat myself up about most things, but I still find myself doing it because I'm so used to it. But it's just like so many other things that we get into these kind of habits of thinking which are unhelpful. So in that time, so it was 2 hours, 3 hours a night, and then 6 hours at the weekend. You've managed to do 16 tracks in
16 tracks since I guess the end of February. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay, so
roughly about 2 tracks a month. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think that's worth to you?
In terms of how it makes me feel, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I back in the 90s, when I was doing this in the UK, I was a prolific writer, prolific, and I had ever since I started writing stuff when I was about 16, I could just sit and write music, and I'd churn stuff out, and it was definitely a forms of means of expression, and then to have that. I suppose for many years I've had a real block on producing stuff. It's a real. I suppose it's kind of like you're not able to express yourself. So to be able to kind of let it all out is quite liberating, to say the least. I mean, in terms of what it's worth for my career in music, I mean, obviously. I've been able to, achieve things which, if I'm honest, I probably wouldn't have thought at the start of the year I was going to. It's been a phenomenal year. Just getting, just getting 4. I mean, we're here in the end of August to have 5 tracks out there. On Beatport, iTunes, all the rest of it. Some of which just for some pretty big names and on some reputable labels. And to be getting some recognition for that is awesome, I mean, that's what we all do it for, basically. So that's phenomenal, and also, but not just that, to feel confidence in your ability to go on and do much more, and it's amazing that how the momentum. Once you get that momentum, it just builds and builds and builds, and it opens up all kinds of other things. I referred a few moments ago about the writing. I being old school, I started off writing songs, because I played in bands, but I hadn't written a full song for years. Well, I've written 3 in the last week.
Oh wow!
Not the whole, but the music, the melody and the lyrics, and really, it's always been my aim to get back to proper songwriting, from the point of view of writing a melody and the lyrics, and then building the arrangement around it, because. Again, being old school, I just feel that better songs are created that way. So that's a fantastic thing for me to be able to have done, and that's actually something which came out of the Grow session.
Oh yeah,
because it's one of the things that I identified that I really wanted to do, and as I saw as key to success going forward, was writing my own songs.
So just so everyone knows, the Grow session is one of the exercises you're doing, I think, in month 2, which is about making decisions, and basically it's kind of a absolute killer planning tool. It's quite an in-depth thing that you use. It really works to basically come to any decision about
anything. Absolutely. Yeah, but it also, I think, it helps you to identify things that you probably wouldn't have otherwise. Because it's the way the questions are both phrased and linked to each other. It kind of uncovers things. It's like digging a hole.
That's it.
And if you go deeper, it's like, oh look, I found that down there. What's let's open it up. What's in there? What is it? Yeah. So. Yeah, it's a bit like that, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I find it difficult to sort of verbalise, is that when I say that often the answers aren't external to you, and this is going to sound quite sort of woo-woo and spiritual, but it's true. If you're looking for answers outside of yourself, or actually the answers are already there. You just got but you just got to ask the right questions. It's all about asking the right questions, because when you ask a question, your brain it cannot stand an open loop, and it will answer. But you've got to find the right question, and that's what so many of the exercises, well, not all of them, but a lot of the exercises are about, is asking. And also, it's not only about asking. Actually getting the answers by asking the questions, is also about learning how to ask the right questions, so you can continue to do it in the future. Because my aim, which it certainly seems to have worked with you, is not to give you stuff so you need more stuff and more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. It's so that you can then go away and do it for the rest of your life without any, do you know what I mean? That's my kind of goal with this. So yeah, I mean, it's and that feeling of momentum as well is just the best feeling when you're on fire.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a few of the mixes that I've worked on in the last last couple of months where I'll sit down in the evening and I'll get get a basic loop going, and then you add a bass line, and then it seems that whatever you go to next, you go to a certain preset, and boom. Sorry, I've used not used the word there. Preset. Sorry, I do use
absolutely fine.
I use presets and loops. Well, there's out there, but So and then you just things just. It seems that you can't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And then still go back to it the next day and listen to it, and it still sounds pretty good.
Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That is something. It's like the stars align and everything just happens. It's like those times when you're DJing, and it used especially happen with vinyl, and you almost didn't have to change the tempo, and everything was in tune.
Yeah.
Do you know those nights that it just?
Yeah, I had one last week actually.
It's weird, isn't it? I don't know what it is. It's when you build this kind of energy, it sort of comes back to you. So this has been great. It's been fantastic to hear, because obviously I didn't know about a lot of this, and I never really do know about all of the story. But I've been asking this question of nearly everyone who I've been doing these interviews with, and it's a good one to end on. So, what if I'd have showed you this interview?
Yeah.
Not before, just after you joined, and you'd have seen it back. What would you have said to me? What would you have thought?
That's a difficult question. Well, I mean, if you'd have shown this interview before I signed, I'd have said, "Where do I sign?" Because I mean, I honestly, it's funny because there was some of the comments or something that I think came up early on the forum just after I joined, and sort of one or two people were talking very tongue-in-cheek about Jedi mind tricks, and you said, no, there's no Jedi mind tricks going on. It's just all stuff that you can read in books or anywhere else. I'm just bringing it all together, but it is a little bit like that, the kind of for want of a better word, the force, that kind of feel, particularly in those early days of it. I think it's quite, it does provide the inspiration for you to get on with it. And I think where it becomes difficult is further into it. I think about 4 months into it, I was sort of having a particularly tough time at work and not having a lot of time to do music, blah blah blah. And I think there was a month, I think it might have been months 4 or 5, where I really didn't have the time to listen to the material and really didn't refer back too much, and I kind of let it slip. And I don't know whether it's just coincidental, but that was the time when my productivity on the music took a dip. And I kind of almost got to a point where I felt things were unravelling. And then I kind of, I think I went away for a weekend somewhere, so I had time I just put all the material on my iPod, and I had time to listen to some of the stuff. And I went back and listened to it. I think particularly month 3, I think, is the real game changer, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. That's where it all.
Yeah, that's right. And I think first time I listened to that, I thought, well, that's a bit out there, and then just kind of gleaned over it. But then, when I was in this point where it was all getting a bit sticky, I went back to that, and that really did get me back on track. In fact, that got me back on track with even more momentum than I'd had originally. And I think I kind of, since that episode happened, that's probably when I've done my best work after that point. And I think that month 3 really is a game changer. When you start to really absorb that and understand it, and understand what the impact of that can be if you apply it correctly. That's the real game changer. So I think, I was obviously, when I signed up for the course, I was obviously hoping that I was going to get something of benefit out of it. I think, I went back the other day and read the initial comments I made on the forum, and I think I said something like, I'd like to do get a couple of tracks released on my label, and I'd like to complete all the course, and I'd like to, maybe do a couple of remixes, But I think I put on it, there's going to be a lot to do. There's going to be a lot to achieve, but it's going to be fun achieving it. And in reality, I've probably achieved 2 or 3 times what my original expectations were. So obviously, I couldn't have believed at the time that would have been possible, because apart from anything else, I wouldn't have believed that I would have had the time to do it. Now, looking back at it, actually, none of it actually seems like it's been either too difficult or something that I haven't just completely enjoyed doing. I mean, I think the main point of it is that I've had the most amazing fun doing all of this. That, both doing being part of the course and involved in the course, but more importantly, because it's only ever about music, doing the music, I've had so much fun doing all this. It's been unbelievable. And I really doubt whether that would have been the case if I had not enrolled in the course, basically. Really? I think I definitely identified back then that for something different to happen this time, I needed to do it differently.
That's it. Yeah, if what you're doing isn't working, you need to do something different.
I knew I just couldn't go through all that same old bullshit again. Yeah. Without something else, without another, call it what you want, a secret ingredient or something. I felt I needed something, and I think that's where it made a big difference.
It's fantastic. I mean, that's it's people ask me why I do this, and just I think I just direct them to this interview. Enough said.